All right, so here we go. So to make this work, we need some extensions. So this is gives us promoted type or data constructors. So we know what that one does now. So we'll probably be using them. We've used type operators, but I don't exactly remember what it does. And we'll call this API type. Okay, data text, data time, UTC time, servant.api. Okay. Hey, Bredor, he's here. Thank you for the birthday wish. It's appreciated. We're just gonna get moving. It's exciting. So we did get a follower where we're gone, so we're up to 48. So we're almost there, which is cool. Maybe we'll get it affiliate for my birthday. API type Haskell. And then okay. So well, and then we need to start getting all this stuff compiling. So let's do that. So in here, no, yeah, in here, we need apparently text, time, and can you just servant? And build? Okay, we're building. I see HTTP stuff, so that's a good start. I don't know how long this is going to take. Hopefully not too long. I think scientific is really slow, unfortunately. Oh. Doesn't look terrible. We got a few birthday wishes this morning, so that was nice. And then we got Brador now. I'm feeling old, but not terribly old, so that's good. Excited to learn stuff, because that's what I like to do. Ow. You know, one thing I should do is also put in the -w all. Yeah, I hope so. I put it on the internet. Usually the fact that we're programming in Haskell brings people in, right? If you write Haskell, it's kind of, you know, people are like, oh, what is this weirdo doing? So that's helpful. But, you know, it's hard to say for sure. In fact, this could potentially hurt me, right? Because it's not at my normal time. And so people might not trickle in here. Hard to say. There might be like, actually, I don't know. Is anyone in the science and technology? Maybe we can look. We got a little bit of time. This one's big. I don't actually know if you can. Not here. Let's see who's streaming. If there's anyone that I actually recognize. I think this one's like a 24-hour one. This might be in German. I don't know. Or maybe it's just Fragen is the name of the tool. I don't know. I don't recognize a lot of these names, but I also don't watch a ton of game development. There's a lot of game development. Pair programming Sunday, that sounds fun. Minecraft modding, that's probably interesting. What is Minecraft written in? Anyway. We'll be at the absolute bottom of this. But that's fine. It's not why we're doing it. Oh, right. Actually, I did know that because we were talking about the servers. By the way, what's going on, Lumi? This is taking a little while to compile, but we're almost there. The reason I know that is because we were talking about, oh, yeah, that's actually fine, because that's correct. I really need to figure out a better workflow. I hate this workflow. That's fine, no worries. I'm not gonna force you to stay, I promise. But I'm happy you're here, even for a little bit. All right, so that's that. Probably close, well, we can't really. Let's open this back up. And then we need to restart GHCI. And then that all works, and we're probably ready to go. Okay. So here's the idea. We're going to get on users with, I guess, some sort of query. I think you do question mark. I'm not really a web person, but I feel like I've seen this before. We're gonna sort by string parameter. Oh, I see. It's gonna be like sort by equals whose value can be something like, I don't really know how to type this, so I'm just kind of making stuff up. Age, name, and it's going to return a list of JSON objects describing users, fields, age, name, email, and registration date. All right, sounds easy enough. You should be able to formalize that, and then use the formalized version to get you much of the way towards writing a web app. All of the way towards getting some client libraries, documentation, and more. Oh, we describe it in servant. Okay, so you can just have a type. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know, can you, I can't, maybe I can just delete this? What if I just delete this web element? Would that help? What if we get rid of that? Oh, that doesn't help. I don't know how to delete this. Yeah, no, I know how to increase the size, but it's gonna make, oh, okay, it just, I see. We're just, it puts that in the hamburger. So that's actually great. Is that better? I wasn't expecting it to actually go away, but that's great. Oh, Lumi just said that. Okay, so great. I've never zoomed in far enough in Chrome such that that window went away. So query parameter sort by we'll have to go look up the documentation for this stuff. Get, let's put this on the line, I guess. And but typically we do it this way, so let's do it like this. How's that look? There's our this is the reason we need data kinds, by the way. There's that promoted data constructor we talked about before. Okay, and then we have so I noticed that there's a third person in here, so I don't necessarily know who you are, but hello. What we do on this channel is basically learn Haskell. Eventually we're going to start projects, but I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe today. Hard to say. Age or name. Okay. I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you learn something. That's kind of what this is all about. User. Oh, no worries. What's up, Ben? So, Eterbium is a buddy of mine from grad school. Oh, wait, this is going to go here. String. Age. Email. So today we're doing web programming, Ben. I've only looked at this documentation before for Servant, but the cool thing about this is you're basically like encoding URLs as types, like directly in the type system, which is really neat. So I don't actually know what this. I think this is /users, but I'm not sure how you write the sort by yet. I think it's like this, where you're like question sort by age or something. But again, I'm not super familiar with this, so we're learning. Okay, so users said that our endpoint will be accessible under /users, like I said. Query param sort by, where sort by is defined as either the data constructor age or name. Cool. Whose value will be extracted as value sort by. Okay. Value. Oh, as a value of the type sort by. Okay, so when we put something in here, it's either going to be an age or a name. Got it. Get says that the endpoint will be accessible through GET requests, returning a list of users encoded as JSON. You'll see later how you make use of this to make your data available under different formats. The choice being made depending on, cat. Depending on the accept header specified in the client's requests. All right, the :greater than sign is an operator that separates various combinators. It just lets you sequence static path fragments, URL captures, and other combinators. Okay, so users list all get is equivalent to this, and is obviously not the same as list all users. Okay, sure. Okay, so it's some sort of sequence operator. Although usually when I think about sequence operators, I don't think about this users being included, but maybe this is a special combinator, not just a sequence operator. Okay. All right, that's useful. So let's actually, if we wanted a root endpoint, simply leave not leave off. It's basically like don't use any of that sequencing operator. And example. Type root endpoint equals get JSON user. Shouldn't this fail? Where does JSON come in? It must be in the servant API, I guess. Does anyone know? I mean, we can look it up. I would have guessed that that would be like from ASIN or something, but it seems to be part of servant, or well, it's got to be part of servant, right? We can just Google for JSON and in servant. Yep. Okay, so it's part of the servant API. So you don't need ASIN apparently to do that, and it doesn't depend on ASIN or some, maybe it depends on some other JSON library, but I don't know which one. Okay. We can also describe APIs with multiple endpoints by using the alternative syntax, right? That's just the alternative operator with a colon in front of it. So here's an example. So let's get rid of that. Oh, also note, I didn't realize this just a second ago. These are, what's the right term for these? They're like type aliases, right? They're not actual data constructors. User API 2. List all. I'm supposed to be getting a new keyboard soon, which I'm pretty excited about. I don't really love this keyboard. Kind of annoying, actually. But it's been on back order for like the entire month. Okay. That's useful. We could have looked more carefully, but I didn't think it was too important just this second anyway. Get user. Okay, so this is basically saying, what happens if I try and format this? Nothing. That's unfortunate, but this is probably syntactically okay. I don't really love it, but like, it's just, I mean, if I have to format it myself, it's not worth doing. So this is probably fine. Okay, so anyway, what this means is this is either going to be either users list all list all users. So like that. Quick overview, the most often needed servant combinator. Okay. Oh, it says here, we know that now, but there you go. Okay, so these are just, this is like chaining slashes, sure, we got that. The get combinator is defined in terms of the more general verb. Where's the formatting? Weird. The formatting just seems to, whoa! 7 people. Hi, 7 people. How's it going? We're learning about servant in Haskell. Feel free to ask any questions or follow the channel. It's my birthday. It'd be a great birthday gift. Okay. Method, status code. This is some kind of function, I guess. Status code that's a natural number, right? Like 200. Oh, here we go. And then a promoted data constructor for its content type. Right, so clearly content type can be get, put, post, patch, delete, but they're defined in terms of these verbs. Oh, it's right here. Okay, neat. I've never used delete. What's delete for? Or patch, I suppose. Post created, post accepted. Interesting. I don't really know what any of these are for. I know what post is, and I know what get is. But anyway. All right. Endpoint always ends with the variant of the verb combinator. You write your own. Okay, so there's an example for users admins. Hang on, I gotta sneeze. I can feel it. Okay, there we go. It's very hot in this room. I can already feel it. I might need to go turn the AC down. I might go do that. Let me go turn the AC down because I'm literally about to start sweating. I'll be right back. Okay. There's like a big window over here that the sun just comes streaming through, which is nice for the cats, but it makes this room hotter than the other room. Okay, so streaming has changed considerably. I don't know what stream means in this context. Is this like these describe an endpoint that returns a stream of values rather than just a single value. They not only take a single content type, okay, so it's just like it's just trying to be more descriptive about what you're doing. Yes. This specifies how the sorry, miss this. They not only take a single content type as a parameter, but also a framing strategy. It specifies how individual results are delineated from one another in the stream. New line framing? Net string framing. I don't know what that means. But others can be written to match other protocols. Okay. So this is for, what is this for? I guess it's for cases where you constantly are polling an endpoint. So, you know, it's just infinitely generating data so that you can, maybe not infinitely, but generating data such that you can do something with it. That's kind of neat. Okay. URL captures are segments of the path for URL that are variable. Sections of the path of a URL that are variable and whose actual value is captured and passed to the request handlers. In many web frameworks, you'll see it written as user's user ID with the leading colon, denoting that user ID is just some kind of variable name placeholder. For instance, if user ID is supposed to range over all integers greater than or equal to 1, our endpoint will match requests made to users1, users143, and so on. The capture combinator in servant takes a type level string representing the name of the variable and a type, which indicates the type that we want to decode the captured value to. Some web frameworks capture a type level string. Yep. A, which is, I guess, the thing. I guess we're gonna find out, right? Okay, let's write this one because this one looks a little more complicated. I don't really know what we use the stream ones for. Hey everybody. Lots of people watching. So apparently during the day is a lot better than streaming at night. So lesson learned. we've learned. Oops, that's not what I want to do. We're gonna add some text here in a second. How's everybody doing today? It's my birthday, so I'm doing great. We're learning about servant in Haskell. I'm just gonna keep the naming scheme the same here. So users, so this is like stream ones you could use for SSE or when you're transmitting large amounts of data for memory use. Okay, so you can, I see what you're saying. So like you could stream like a huge file and then have it be processed incrementally instead of loading the whole file into, you know, some remote computer's RAM and then doing all the work then. I see. Okay. So that's where like the new line delimiting, or what was it called? Framing? New line framing would come in, like if you had just a text file, like a big text file. That's useful. Thank you. Lumi's always very helpful in the stream for my dumb non-programmer self. Oh, here, it's not gonna fit on the screen if I don't do this, so. Okay, so we're gonna capture a user ID. What does SSE stand for? I assume this has something to do with, oh, server send events. I was gonna say something with sockets or web sockets or something, but I've never seen SSE. I've not done a lot of web programming, if that's not obvious. Distinct from that. Okay. And then, you know, whatever, we're kind of writing this part over and over again. I suppose we could. Oh, this is like one user. Okay, so this is saying like user Zorkadon, it seems like servant is sort of the cool thing right now. I've heard of Scotty and Spock, and people have suggested that before, but for whatever reason, this one looked like the one I wanted to play with first. That's all. No particular reason whatsoever. Something like this? Oh, I guess we can write it in that other syntax. I've not seen this syntax, so maybe this is from some other library. But oh, Zorkadon, I just realized. Thank you for the follow. I noticed it was while we weren't streaming, so I assume you watched one of the videos. So I hope you liked it. So and I guess one of the things that I do think is really cool about this library is this sort of like encoding your URL into a type. I don't know, can you do that with Scotty and Spock? Just out of curiosity. Again, I've not really used them, so something about this really speaks to me on a personal level. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you can. Or just server side? Does just server side means like serving, you know, like if you wanted to serve this page, for example, this is served just on server side. Yes, that's what you mean by that. It looks pretty complicated. Scotty can be client side too, but you need another library. Okay. What's the library called, Zorkadon, that people use? We can check it out. Type spec. Okay. Oh, there's another. Capture. Delete. What does this mean? I assume we're gonna find out. Okay, so in the second case, delete no content specifies a 204 response code. JSON specifies the content types on which the handler will match, and no content says the response will always be empty. Okay. So the idea is that you send this if you were trying to delete a user with a user ID, and this would be just a get. So you could have the API say like user get would just list the user, and user delete and user add or something. I see. Okay, so well, that's useful information though, because maybe if like we're thinking, okay, I guess maybe I should explain a little bit. The idea of using servant was because I think that I want to build an API for a project that we're gonna start, or I'll probably discuss it on stream today. Once we're done with this tutorial, I don't know how long it's going to take. But essentially the idea is that I need some way for people to request resources and then make those resources and delete those resources. But they don't need to interact with a website at all. But I would like it to be like a persistent server type setup. So I think that I could use servant to do that. I might be able to do it with the other things, but it's not meant to serve web content at all. So I think that's why we were kind of leaning towards using servant, or I don't know, maybe it's just because I wanted to do it. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly the whole story. But you know, we can learn the other ones later too. We don't have to stick with one. We might find that the other ones are just easier. Yeah, I think that fits well with our our sort of general theme, right? Our general theme is supposed to be relatively theory heavy, so having interesting types is useful for that. Okay, so let me write this in here. So delete no okay. Delete no content specifies 204 response code. I don't really want to write that. So the first alternate is a get user id. The second delete. Okay, so that's what we're doing, I guess. Neat. All right, so now we're gonna talk about querying. Hey, look at that, I was right, it's a question mark. Okay, query params, query flag, are about parameters in the query string. Those parameters come after the question mark in URLs, like sort by. Well, sort by in this. Okay. So this is saying query the endpoint users with the parameter sort by equal age, or the query parameter. Well, you specify that the query parameter is actually a list of values, which can be specified using ands. Okay. Query flag lets you specify a Boolean-like parameter where a client isn't forced to specify a value. Okay, that's useful. So this is a query parameter with a sort of key value, and this is just a flag, true or false. Sure, that makes sense. So let's write this next one. So maybe you guys already know the answer, but when we get a little further along, are we going to find out that we can have different sets of user APIs? I don't need to write one user API, right? Like I can serve multiple user APIs from the same server? I assume yes. It would seem unlikely that I couldn't do that, right? Too far. Query param sort by one function later and expose it multiple times at different URLs without duplicating. Okay, that's cool. I think that's what I asked, right? The actual request handling is a function. That's good news. We like functions. One thing I'm happy about is that we got far enough in the Thinking with Types book to actually know what this is, right? Like that's a big deal, because this meant nothing to us, would have meant nothing to us if we didn't look at that book before. So that's pretty useful. The actual request, oh yeah, I already read that. Which is passed arguments sort of according to the spec you are writing now. Yes, but you should do it when you need it, because it can be messy. I'm not sure I follow what's going on. But you should do it. What's it? Should do it when you need it. All right, so this is like get users question mark sort. You know, I was kind of writing it that way before. Age, name. Now, using one function for multiple services. Okay, thank you for clarifying. That makes sense. Like you want to have, I assume you want to have things separated as best as possible and not sort of like jammed together in one place sometimes. I think that makes sense. Separation of concerns, I think, is what that is. Sure. That's fair. Okay. So we already wrote this technically, but I was thinking about this correctly. But these are literally going to just be the strings, age, or name, not anything else. So I suppose that is not encoded in our type, really, but I guess we're going to have some parser for this sort by type that I suppose we have to define a parser for sort by such that, sorry, where's sort by? Here. Such that it can only take age or name, right? Because that part's not encoded in this type right now. Or are we going to handle it later? Is that the idea? I guess we're going to find out. Okay. Rec body. Each HTTP request can carry some additional data that the server can use in its body. This data can be encoded in any format as long as the server understands it. This can be used, for example, for an endpoint for creating new users instead of passing each field of the user as a separate query string parameter or something dirty like that. You can group all the data into a JSON object. This has the advantage of supporting nested objects. Okay. Servants, I guess this is supposed to be required body. Required? I'm not sure what rec is in this case, but probably required. Well, maybe not. Because it seems that it's optional. Request. That makes more sense. Each HTTP request. Sometimes it would be nice, like, for someone like me that doesn't know what these things are, right? These kind of tutorials would be really useful if they just explained what this meant. Maybe it's written somewhere else, but when you say request body, it makes perfect sense to me. It's just that I don't know, I don't know what it stands for automatically, like immediately. Although, some people do. Maybe they assume that, the people coming across this thing already know what they're trying to use it for. Yeah. I mean, I probably should know HTTP, but I don't, clearly. So, we're learning. That's fine. Okay, so this takes a list of content types in which the data encoded, content types in which the data encoded in the request body can be represented in the type of that data. And, as you might have guessed, you don't have to check the content type header and do the deserialization yourself. We do it for you. And return bad request or unsupported content type as appropriate. Right? So a required body is just a list of content types and some other type. Excuse me. So this is all about post requests, I guess, right? I'm trying to write this in a way that everyone can read it, so I hope that's going well. By the way, how do you guys like the thing in the top right corner, the little scrolling thing? I think I asked this last time, but I don't remember who was around, so just trying to get an idea if people think it's interesting or not. Because I can go back to just the sort of old way, which was not having that, but I thought it might be interesting to see who is following. I can't see it on my screen, obviously, but something. Rec body. Oops. Post. So what? Hey, did you guys see the cat? He typed some stuff on the keyboard. What are you doing? That's not for you. Not that. User. Okay, so one question. Why is this a list? Why is it not just a JSON object? Kitty, could you get out of there, please? Okay, I gotta get this cat out of here. Hang on for 1 second. We'll meet Andre. He'll be the first cat we meet, I suppose. Come here, guy. Gotta get out of there. Yeah. Ugh. Okay, put that back. So here's Andre. This is Andre 3000. We got him almost a year ago, so he's about a year old. He looky, but he's very mischievous. He likes to get behind the computer a lot. He used to bite the cables, but he doesn't do that anymore, which is really nice. Anyway, say hi, Andre. Do you say hi? No? Okay. Over there. Yeah. Yeah, he does not care. He definitely is like this kitty you got in here. Okay, sorry. HTTP and TCP will be replaced someday. It is inefficient for serving from unstable connections. The list of, yeah. Right, so this is why we have, what's the alternative to TCP? UDP? That's more, or better for unstable connections, I think. And the only reason I really know about UDP is there's a SSH, well, yeah, it's an SSH protocol basically written in UDP. I forget what it's called though. It'll probably come to me after a little while here, but all right, capture. Oh, right. Lumi, I just saw your thing. It's a list of possible types supported. So it can be JSON or other things. So this is kind of like a heterogeneous type list again. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Again, I'm not super great with networking, so that's easily my weakest point when it comes to networking and web stuff. I just don't do it very often. Users. Yeah, that makes sense. If it wasn't backwards compatible, we'd have serious problems. Rec body. JSON. Put. User. Sorry, I said that this is like heterogeneous list. That's absolutely wrong. 100% wrong. Ignore me. That's a list of types that are probably in some type constructor. It's probably a sum type somewhere. Okay. So what is this doing? So this is a post, and this is, I don't know, something, users, user id. Oh, this is a put. So this is like an update. Okay. So post would be a creation with whatever this request body has. And this is like an update for that same user. So apparently when we post, we create some sort of unique user ID, or that's part of the request body, and then we can update it via this URL. Yes. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I clarified that though, because I know that I said it wrong. I'm trying to be technical when I can, but as hopefully it's clear, I can't be technical always because I don't know sometimes. Let's make sure I wrote this correctly. Users capture. Okay, yeah, I think I wrote it right. Okay, so request headers. Request headers are used for various purposes, from caching to carrying auth-related data. Oh, so this is important because at some point, so when we talk about the project that we're going to work on that is going to use Servant, at least I think it is, we might find that there's a better way to do it. Like, well, by we, I mean you guys, because you know more about programming than I do, probably all of you. But part of this API that I think I need to create will be open to basically any user on my system, but part of it I need to be private. So when I want to do updates, I guess when I want to do puts and deletions, those should be authenticated. But when you want to do gets and posts, those can be unauthenticated. Does that make sense? Because anyone on my system should be able to do gets and posts, but not everyone should be able to do puts and deletes. I think I'm saying that right. That's kind of the idea. If we want to talk about that now, just let me know and I can explain a little bit more so that maybe everyone knows, or we're all on the same page about what we're working on. Okay. So headers. Request headers are used for various purposes. Oh, I just read that, sorry. They consist of a header name and an associated value. An example would be accept application JSON. So these are like those, I've had to mess with these before. User content strings, what are they called? I think they're user content strings. Like sometimes you need to like fake your content string to make something work. I feel like I've done that before. It's something like that anyway. The header combinator in Servant takes a type level string for the header name and the type to which we want to decode the header's value from some textual representation illustrated below. So, okay, so this symbol again comes from is any Haskell data constructor or type constructor? It has to be type constructor. Lumi said it. Yeah. Possible types. Here's an example where we declare that an endpoint makes use. Oh, there it is. User agent. That's what it's called. It's literally in front of our face, which specifies the name of the software library used by the client to send the request. So Google Chrome, for example. Headers were created for controlling packets in TCP, as you need a way of knowing what packets were delivered. I think that makes sense. Someday, I am going to like sit down and learn how the heck networking works. I really want to do that. I don't know that it fits on this stream, but you know, maybe it does. I mean, this stream is almost exclusively Haskell. Well, has been. I tried doing Python once. It didn't go well because I was doing like really boring timing stuff, because that's what I needed to do at the time. Haskell's more fun anyway. Okay. So this is... So the text is like, you know, whatever. Google Chrome. Yeah. Yep. Typelets. You know, if you were listing from Google Chrome, or I'm sorry, if you were making the request from Google Chrome in Android, it has all that information in it. And you can fake that information to lie to the internet, I guess. I don't remember why I need to do that before. Hopefully it wasn't for something like illegal. I don't think it was. Or I hope it wasn't. Anyway, content types. so far, whenever we have used a combinator that carries a list of content types, we've always specified promoted data constructor JSON, list JSON. However, Servant lets you use several content types and also lets you define your own content types. 4 content types are provided out of the box by the core Servant package: JSON, plaintext, form URL encoded, and octet stream. If for some obscure reason you wanted one of your endpoints to make your user data available under those 4 formats, you would write the API type as below. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we were sort of talking about this in the chat, and then there it is. So you can do different content types. Okay. There are other packages that provide other content types. For example, Servant Lucid and Servant Blaze allow to generate HTML pages using Lucid and Blaze HTML, and both come with a content type for HTML. I've never seen Lucid. Is Blaze the same Blaze from like everywhere else? Oh, yeah, I guess I don't think we're going to use all these, but thank you for the typo. I probably wrote, I did this multiple times, I'm pretty sure. We'll just fix this because I would rather it be consistent. I will put this up on GitHub at some point, but I don't know that that's useful for anyone. Maybe it is. It probably won't be, but you shouldn't use this for tracking. You can find a user just by the size of its browser window. Okay, that's funny. I didn't think about that, but sure. So they're both HTML combinator packages. Okay, so they're not. So this is not the same Blaze as that I used when I did Flask, or is it the same style? Funny and terrible, yeah. It wouldn't be a very first principled approach to figuring out where you were working from, right? We might have to go get some more tea because I'm gonna need some caffeine if I want to keep this up for a few hours. I think we've been on for an hour. We can check. We got the power of Moobot. Yeah, so we've been on for an hour, but you know, kind of a caffeine fiend. Anyway, I kind of want to look this up real quick. So let's look this up real quick because I'm curious. So Blaze HTML Haskell. Tutorial. Yes, please. Oh yeah, this is a very, very different Blaze. Okay. Thank you. I mean, I wasn't 100% sure. Because there is wow. Okay, this is cool. Template. No. Oh yeah, that's when I used it. When I was experimenting with this. This is called Blaze. And that comes from Meteor. Well, I don't know who has it originally, but I feel like I've used it in either Flask or I think it was this though. I was trying to get into web programming and I didn't do it. There's too many damn choices and I got overwhelmed with choices. So anyway, okay, so this is just an HTML combinator library, and I assume that, what was the other one called? Lucid is equivalent, or not equivalent, but sort of the same. Okay, that's useful information. We will further explain how these content types and your data types can play together in the section about serving an API. Okay, so we're probably going to get to that here in a little bit. All right, so more about, wait, weren't we just talking about response headers? Content types. request headers, and response headers. All right. It's like Flask is great because it's like super easy to use, but then I guess if you want to do anything complicated, it becomes very difficult. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, it's hard, and there's strong opinions and therefore lots and lots of libraries to do it. Yeah. But is it, the question is, I mean, okay, my question is it just like because you've done it a while and you've used the same framework for a certain amount of time that you just kind of are feeling comfortable with it? Or, are you actually happy with your technology choice? I don't know. There's just so many damn choices. That's my problem. I probably shouldn't just avoid swearing altogether. That's not a terrible swear, obviously, but we'd like to have a family-friendly stream here. Okay, just like an HTTP request, the response generated by a web server can carry headers too. Server provides a headers combinator that carries a list of header types. It can be used by simply wrapping the return type of an endpoint with it. LS. Just a list of things. Okay, so I've never used that, but I've heard React is pretty neat because it's at least embracing functional programming. Um, but it always appeared so complicated from the outside, but maybe that's worth checking out as a front end at some point. Although, I mean, I guess if we're going to do it on this stream, we're probably going to try and do pure script, right? I suppose that would make the most sense. I think you can do React in pure script or something like it anyway. Okay, so if you want to describe an endpoint that returns a user count header. Okay, that's what I thought. I feel like I read that on Twitter or something. I follow Justin Wu on Twitter, so sometimes he says things, so it can be in my head. 10. Why does it always want to do that? So get headers, header user count nuts. Oh, how does this format? This doesn't format. I don't think my formatter is doing anything. Probably just doesn't know how to handle these sequencing operators, I guess. Okay. Gosh, my phone is blowing up. All right, so what's the point of this? This is, we're getting, so this gets all of the users. Okay, this gets all of the users and returns a response header with the user count. So you could parse the response header to get out user count. Is that how I'm supposed to read this? Does it also return the list of users? I think that's what this means. I suppose we can test it, but I think that's what that means. Okay. Yeah. But does it send that in addition to the list of users? I think it does because it's a get, but because this is a response, right? Okay. Anyway, we can test it, but I think that's the way to think about it. Additive. Okay. Chrono Luminaire. Cool name, first of all. Why Haskell? We are addicted to types, and Haskell has cool types. I think that's the easiest way to say it. But also, I'm a huge fan of theory and math, and so Haskell kind of fits really nicely into that, that sort of group of things. What's the coolest type? I'm not sure. I haven't found the coolest type yet. What's my favorite type thus far that we've looked at? Not really sure. We're gonna do something later with this continuation monad, and that one looks pretty cool. But it's kind of just playing with types every day makes me happy, Cal. Making my own language as a formal verification and a type system similar to Agda. Yeah, we would love to check that out. Zork, that's one of the next, I would say that's probably the next thing that we want to work on. Like, I want to get more comfortable with Haskell so that we can actually work on real Haskell projects on the stream. And then we're probably going to split into, not split into two different streams, but like one day we're going to do something like category theory, and another day we're going to do like projects. So I'd like to, I always want to continue learning on this channel. But that's kind of the idea. Does that make sense? But I'm not comfortable enough with Haskell yet to write anything real. So we're kind of stuck a little bit. All right, let's check this out from Chrono. I'm curious. Oh no, it's so bad. Okay, I won't show it. I'm sorry. I won't show it. Please don't look at it. No problem. I'm sorry. When you're ready to share it, please come in and share it with me. I would gladly play around with it. That's kind of like, again, this stream is all about just learning stuff. So the more I can learn, the better. But I think I would guess that Agda, Idris, these sorts of things are definitely on our list of stuff to check out. But right now we're gonna stick with Haskell for a little while. JB Pratt, thanks for the follow. Super appreciate it. Your name is probably now streaming in the top right corner, so be happy that you've contributed to the stream. You are number 49. We need one more follow, and then we will be affiliate, which is pretty cool. That's exciting stuff. And it's my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about basic authentication, which is important because I need to do authentication at some point. So, sorry, we had kind of like a, this is 100% my record for 18 viewers, so thanks to everybody hanging out. Clearly streaming during the days is a much better thing than streaming at night, but you'll notice that our schedule down below is mostly at night because I work during the day. So, but thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Brain hurting category theory, see Math Proofsable YouTube channel. I'm gonna look this up and put it into our thing. So for everyone here, if you're interested in like contributing to what we learn on the stream, I would be happy for you to do that. You can just check out this GitHub channel and suggest things. I just copied and pasted that Math Proofsable thing. There's a kitty. No, come on. Come here. Hey, buddy. Andre, he's being bad again. That's what he does. YouTube Math Proofsable. Okay. And we'll put this in What do we want to call this? I don't know. Category theory? We can start one now. Here we go. Add category theory section with YouTube channel. Okay. So there we go. I'm totally into brain melting and hurting math. So that's something we could probably do on stream and have a good time with it. Okay, so here we go. Let's get back to this. Basic authentication. Authentication and authorization are broad and nuanced topics. As Servant began to explore this space, we started with one of HTTP's earliest authentication schemes, basic authentication. When protecting endpoints with basic authentication, we need to specify two items. The realm of authentication as per the basic authentication spec, the data type returned by the server after authentication is verified. This is usually a user or customer data type. Interesting. With those two items in mind, Servant provides the following combinator. Basic auth is a realm and some user data. Okay. Type protected API. This isn't really the oops. Okay, so it takes the actual API type. Okay. Need to think about this a little bit. So this is an, okay, yeah, it says it right here. This is a public, unprotected, yes, the Haskell extension that I use is, let me bring it up on the screen, hang on. This one. Go away. The simple GHC Haskell integration. It works really nice, actually, because it doesn't crash my computer, right? HIE tends to crash my computer, which is very unfortunate. But this one seems to be okay. There's some cases where, like, the stack is like compiling in the background and you don't get type completion, and it's a little confusing for a little while. But then once you realize what's going on and you just like stack build in the terminal, then it tends to work just fine. So I've been pretty happy with this, and we've been using it on stream for quite a while. The only problem with it is like, well, like right now I don't have any type completion, for example. If we just restart, does it? It's not giving me any, you know, you can see it's like not doing anything right now. Oh, there it is. So apparently we just don't get anything when we click type constructors. So anyway, it just shows the type over here like this, which is kind of nice. I like it. Okay, so the text my realm will show up in the browser as the thing to authenticate for. I don't necessarily know what that means yet, but I guess we're gonna find out, because we'll play with one of these protected APIs, because I'm definitely gonna have, like I told you before, we're gonna have two unprotected and two protected things. But is this the preferred way to do like sort of multi API combinations? Like define your user API, then maybe define your group API, blah 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 blah, and then go from there. Basic auth is kind of a minimal kind of authentication with user password that works in the browser without any special code. Yeah, that seems like that should be enough for me, because I'll just create like a dummy user and password that my users of this particular API wouldn't be able to guess. They're not going to try and hack it, so I'm not terribly worried. And this isn't going to be public in the sense that, you know, you guys would be able to hit this API to do anything. So it's more or less kind of just private. And to be fair, I could probably just do this as bash scripts, but we're trying to learn something, right? Like I can just do everything as bash and Python scripts, but that doesn't help me learn anything. So anyway. Okay. Sometimes it is useful to be able to generalize an API over the type of some part of it. Okay. Oh, let's put this over here. Okay, but anyway, the point is that this user API 2 is hidden behind this basic auth realm, basic auth authentication realm. I'm not sure how to say that properly. Pretty sure you can do thing like subpath. Oh, that's neat. Okay, so you can sequence it with alternates. That seems really useful. Okay. We can try it. I suppose it wouldn't compile if you're not allowed to do something like that, right? So let's call this type subpath API equals like user yeah. It's just weird to read. I guess I can put dashes here. Something like this. Oh well. So anyway, this is basically what you're getting, Zork, is that this comes here. So you can see errors and things in here, which is nice. And it comes directly from Cabal. So you're not like adding any extra stuff. Like you're already using Cabal if you're using Stack, and they just kind of work, which is nice. All right, so empty APIs. Type user API 12 inner API Oh, wait. No. Oh, yeah, so Chrono, what got you into making that language? Is it like a research project or just something that you're interested in out of curiosity? All right, so we seem to not be able to do something like this. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I just noticed what you're doing. Not like this. It's like embedding these things into one another. Something like this, although this might fail. Oh, well, Okay. We have an 8. There we go. So something like this you can do. I guess this is embedding these into slash user slash the new API. So I imagine this is like user, but anyway, it looks a little funny. But I guess this is kind of the same thing, right? Well, no, this is another API embedded in a different this isn't root, but root plus one endpoint. So this is kind of neat, like embedding APIs in different places. If there's a case where you do not have anything extra to serve, you can use the empty API combinator to indicate this. Why would I want to do that? Oh, I get it. Okay, I'm using this user API 12. I was very confused for a second there. Okay. So, very cool. Oh, Chrono, thanks for following. Appreciate it. I hope you can be around when we actually stream. Unfortunately, we stream pretty late, depending on where you are in the world. But hope to see you around. I definitely want to hear about your language. That sounds cool. I'm fascinated by programming languages. What was I going to say? Oh, and thanks to Chrono, we just got 50 followers. How cool is that? So I think, I don't know when this happens, but technically I guess that means I am now a Twitch affiliate, which I'm going to consider my birthday gift because no one's around for my birthday, but you guys. So thanks. I'm not saying that to be sad, like my girlfriend is doing something, but it feels good. It feels good. We accomplished something. We've been doing this for, I don't know, 6 months or something. It was kind of like my New Year's resolution to do this, like constantly try and learn stuff. So it's been going well. Okay, let's continue. So interoperability with WAI. What's WAI? I don't know what that is. Is this another, like a web server? Web application interface. Standard web server abstraction. Ah, a Snoiman project. I see. So like this is what I guess Yesod is built on top of. Okay. I've heard of Yesod as well, which I guess we didn't mention earlier. So now we got a bunch of different web projects, but here's even yet another one. Okay, interesting. So again, I guess people familiar with doing this would be familiar with WAI. I see. I've heard of Warp as well. Okay, let me read this again though. Yes, it uses WAI to connect to web servers. The commonly used web server would be Warp, which implements the WAI interface. Okay, so is Warp, the Warp is the thing underneath Servant, right? So it's like you got Warp and then Servant in this case, and then apparently you can also use this WAI thing. Oh, that's neat. Or is this on top of WAI? That's the only part I'm a little confused about. I guess we could probably read the about page. It probably tells us. Anyway, this is interesting. So this just means you can go. Oh, here we go. Okay. There are a few reasons. Oh, so by the way, this is why Chrono is working on a new language. I'm tired of imperative programming in business. I don't think it's impossible to write proofs as programs in regards to business domain. I've been in a few Fortune 500, F100 businesses, and they all struggle with violation of domain constraints. Proofs as programs in regards to business domain. Okay, that's interesting. That's I think. I mean, that sounds like an unsolved problem for sure. Okay, so I guess this lets you get, like, you could just look at a file in on the server itself. So if you need to like just get a file from the server, I guess you could serve it this way. Is that the idea? Let's write this one because I can see how that would be useful. User raw. I suppose we should just tab these out when we can. Yeah, I definitely can see the side to that coin as well. But you know, we are fans of this idea of, you know, proofs as programs for sure. I've not done it myself, but anyway. If you want to serve a directory of static files along with the rest of your, okay, I said that, that's great. But you can plug in everything that is in an application, e.g. a whole web application written in any of the web frameworks that support WAI. Cool. Next. Okay. I don't know, I like the chit chat about type level combinators, I'm not going to lie. Hey, what are you doing? Kitty is feeling neglected for sure. I feel bad for him. So, whoa. This source for this tutorial section is a literate Haskell file. So does this mean I should start a new file, I guess? Or is this is going to go into main? Oh no, this is going to go into something called server. Okay. So that's probably going to go in here. I'm not going to write all of these. No, 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 no. Come here. Kitty? You feeling neglected? Kitty's feeling neglected. Sorry. Need to give. Be very mad. Hey, buddy. Over there. Thank you. Okay, I gotta get rid of this. People can read. Okay, we know what some of these things do. We're learning about rank and types, and we'll keep working on this later. Scoped type variables we know about. I don't exactly remember what type operators is for. Zork. I would like to write programs as string diagrams from category theory. Globular science. Is that an actual link? Oops. Yeah, like it. I have no idea what this means. Anyway, it looks like some sort of, we're gonna create cells and do stuff. That looks interesting though. I don't know what it's about though. Okay. I'm not going to write all of this. I am just too lazy to do that. I might need to use the mouse there. Okay, let's read through this just so we get an idea what's coming. All right. MTL. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. We don't need that anymore. Or, well, we might need that later, but we don't need that now. What's this? Base compat? MTL. JSON. Byte string is just byte string. What's this one? String conversions. I've not seen that one before. String conversions. I hate that I have to hit escape first. Okay, we don't know what that one is yet. HTTP media network URI. HTTP media network URI. That's ASIN as well. Okay, so we need to figure out how to get Blaze and Lucid, I guess. So Blaze stackage. So Blaze HTML. And I think the other one was just Lucid. Okay, so that should be everything, I think. So let's try and build this. Well, it seems to be building. Appears the other things have already been built, so that's good. Is this something worth, like, doing pull requests for? Like, is it worth our time to fix this for somebody? Or not? Would it just be annoying? Because this seems like something that we could pretty easily fix. Okay, we need autoparsec. Where'd my pen go? Oh. Apparently, didn't I do this? Network URI? If you do more than just remove imports, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so we need add a parsec, directory, blaze markup, and apparently I didn't write network URI. Perhaps you meant network URI. Maybe I'm supposed to write network way. We can quickly look this up. Sorry, this part is going to be a little boring because I just don't know where this stuff is. Hackage is probably what I'm looking for. I don't need the docs. Just this is what I need. Probably just WAI, right? I don't think I need this. I think I need WAI. And then we need addo parsec directory. Okay. Thank you. Warp. That's what the other one was, probably. And then blaze. I suppose I should put this here. Markup. Alright, let's see how far we get this time. Okay, building some more stuff. So how's everyone's day? Everyone having a good day? Doing anything on this? Well, it's beautiful outside right now. I don't know what the weather's like where you are. Do. Takes quite a while. Although the nice thing is, as long as I don't update stack, usually this stays, well, unless they do updates to stackage itself. I only have to do this once. Didn't I? I'm confused. Import servant doesn't work. Everything else works. So what's going on, servant? Oh, is it just a mistype? Sounds like something I would do. But wait, where is that? Is it here? Where is servant? Oh, there it is. Okay, and then if we restart GHCI, all the squiggly lines go away. Wonderful. Now that seems something like we should fix, right? Because that's no good. That might be something we can fix real quickly. Let's see. Uh, is it on their GitHub, I guess? That's the question. Docs. You can just search for serving an API, I suppose. Oh, that could be. That could be. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't complain. That's fair. There might be something that we're missing. Oh, it's literally right here. I'm an idiot. Ooh, it's in front of my face. Sorry. Sorry. It's always right in front of my face, right? I'm not the first one. I'm not finding an error. We got more to compile though. I'm gonna quickly use the bathroom while this is compiling. I'll be right back. Yeah, hopefully the cat doesn't like shut down the computer or something. Goodness. I'm glad I went to the bathroom there. We're still compiling. My goodness. I guess we'll read a little bit while we're waiting. Let's leave. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, we'll leave this here. All right, so it re-exports all the type from the servant package that let you declare API types as well as everything you need to turn your request handlers into a fully fledged web server. This means that in your applications, you can just add servant server as a dependency, import servants, and not worry about anything else. Okay, that's useful. Wonderful. So we're done. That actually didn't take very long once I got back, but I figured it'd be done by then. So we need to fix, we're done with this. We need to fix this import. Where is it? It's right in front of my face. Nope. Here we go. And restart GHCI. Wonderful. Okay, so I want to write it like this. I know API is a acronym, but get JSON list user. Okay, so let me Let's read through these real quick just to make sure. Okay, so we're going to be doing some parsing with autoparsec. That's great. I know how to do that. ASIN. I haven't used a ton of ASIN, but I know it's for JSON stuff. I'm still terrible at reader monad, and I think this is just the error monad. I mean, it's except. Equivalent. What is this equivalent to? Either? Something like that. List, maybe we're fine with. String conversions, I've never used. I don't know what that's about. Calendar seems relatively obvious. Generics, I don't know exactly what's in there, but there's some interesting deriving that you can do with generics, right? And I think one of these things is for that. Yeah, generalized new type deriving, right? That's what this extension is for. Oh, and derived generic. Lucid was the combinator library. We talked about that earlier. I don't know what these are. We'll see what those are later. This is the server itself, right? I think. That's the library above that. I assume we're going to get something from a directory at some point. More combinators. Apparently you can use both Lucid and Blaze together, which is interesting. I don't know what this is. Source T. Some sort of monad transformer. But we're only importing one function from it. Still weak on monad transformers. That's sort of another thing on the list of things to get better at. And then more combinators and more JSON parsing. Okay. So what is this? So this is a get on users. And we should make it plural. We need our data type for user. I'm just doing this in a new file because I want to put it all together in sort of a clean way. Data time UTC time. This is actually a list of user, which would give you users, plural. Okay. And this is what we want to get back, is some names and registration dates. Okay. Eq show generic. Oh, right. This generic thing is so you can have the to_JSON for free, right? That's the idea. User. So if we get rid of this generic deriving clause, I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, then this fails because you need that instance of generic. I think I've seen something like this before. I don't remember when though. Okay. So we're gonna define a list of users just to work with. So call them our users. I don't really like this user's one for whatever reason. Our users. Isaac Newton. 372. It's weird, but okay. Isaac Newton. Kind of a funny email. And then from Gregorian 1683 1. Einstein 138. Albert Einstein at mcsquared.org. Gregorian 1905 12:1. Okay, so I'm sorry you can't actually see this very well. Wrong button. But oh, that's why. That's a little better. What's going on here? Couldn't match expected type, actual type. These are apparently days and not UTC times. Did we? Oh, it's fixed here. Okay. Nice. So there's that. What's the matter? Can you hear that? Here, come here. Come on. This kitty does need a lot of attention. Hi, buddy. I'm sorry. We're gonna be done in, I don't know, 2 hours. Sorry. Hang out, I swear. Okay. So we can now take care of the writing the actual web service, which will handle the request to such an API. This one will be very simple, being reduced to just a single endpoint. The type of the web application is determined by the API type through a type family named server. We know about type families now, so that's cool. The server type family will compute the right type that a bunch of request handlers should have just from the corresponding API type. Cool. The first thing to know about the server type family, the behind the scenes it will drive the routing, let you focus only on the business logic. This is a term that I find really weird, business logic. The second thing to know is that for each endpoint, your handlers will be default run in the handler monad. This is overridable very easily as explained near the end of this guide. Third thing, the type of the value returned in that monad must be the same as the second argument of the HTTP method combinator used for the corresponding endpoint. In our case, it means we must provide a handler of type handler user. We'll now have, we have a monad. Let's just return our list. Okay. So server, why do we have all these ones? I don't understand why we have all these ones. Are we gonna make more servers? It's fine. I'll start with server. Users API. Ow. Server. Hey, don't bite me. What are you doing? Sure. Return our users. Hey, buddy. Man, he's really antsy. Okay. Now we can turn server into an actual web server using way and... Is everyone okay with me pronouncing this way? Or should I say WAI? I don't know if warp is an acronym, but I don't think it is. I mean, it might be. Okay, so... Hey! Don't scratch this. We might have to take a little break, unfortunately. He's getting really antsy. Proxy? Okay. Serve? Oh, I see. Wait. Oh, never mind. I thought that was the serve. It's not. Okay. Serve comes from servant and hands you a way application, which you can think of as an abstract web application, not yet a web server. Is this similar to uh I guess it's in Flask, where you can like pull the server from the application itself? Okay, so here we just need to import server and run app. This comes from network way application, but what do we, this one probably. Is it here? Sorry, I don't know where this is coming from. Oh, there we go. So can I just get rid of that? Yeah. And then save I. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's do that. So do we just, I guess we just stack run. I suppose this means it's running. So 8081 users. Here you go. A list of users in JSON format. I'm very surprised it doesn't like say anything. Maybe there's like a debug mode you could turn on if you wanted to. Okay. Neat. We did that. And then we could add some more stuff. Let's see if we can do this ourselves. What I want to try and do is use more like the combinator idea, because I like that idea a lot. Get. Although I suppose we could just add like a string here, couldn't we? Could say like this, I suppose. Then we could do things like didn't we do something like this before? This has to be. Can't just be a string. How did we do this before? We did something like this, right? Yeah, this has to be a kind, so this doesn't work. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Ignore me. This doesn't work. What we could do... You could do it this way. That's unfortunate. That would be cool if you could do that. There's probably a way to do it, I just... Isaac API. That'll work. And then... we can do some nicer things like... I don't know if these are really nicer things, but... yeah, that's fine. Kind of forgot what I was doing there for a second. Ah, I keep forgetting to get rid of this, I'm sorry. I think you'd have to annotate the kind if you wanted to use a type alias there earlier. Okay. Annotate the kind. Annotate the kind. You wanted to use a type alias there earlier. Don't really know what that means. Right, like if I wanted to abstract over this name, so I could just have a generic, more generic user API, or I'm sorry, user type. I'm not sure how I do that. Kind. Could you give me an example of what you mean by that? Because I'm genuinely curious. And then we need to deal with our new server. So now we can iterate on our servers. So server 1 is a server of users. What did I call it? Users API 2. Well, I guess I see why they're using 2 now. Oh. Let's try that. I see what you're saying though, because it needs to be specifically a string this time. I see what you're saying. Okay, thank you. Let's try that here in a second. So actually let's go back and change this to users API 1. Align these because I want the names to be consistent, otherwise it's going to get really confusing. So this is like return, actually let's put this on the next line, return users, no, our users. Albert. Although I think I have them backwards. Albert Isaac. Oh no, I just did them. Not that this is super important, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay. And then we need we don't need this and this. Seems to me like we do. Or can I just put server 1 here? I don't think so. Yeah, it's kind of what I thought. I need to make gonna be more or less the same thing here though. Okay, like that. And then I think we just change this to app 1 and we should be able to do that. Okay. So okay, so we should be able to do this again, but we should also be able to do Albert. Yep. And okay, now what I want to do is see if we can generalize using so let's comment this out like we had it before and then do oops type name symbol get JSON name K and then use polycount. Okay, we'll try that too. User, and this has got to come over here a little bit. Oh, okay. So we need a, oh, this comes from typelets. Where is it from? Wait, why don't I need it here? Didn't I use that in here? Symbol. I did not. Okay. So that's that. And then can we actually do it is the question. User API Albert. Yeah. Now, is this, no, this isn't a problem because this user's API is determined at compile time, right? So the only way this works is by building this type with the string as the symbol. Right? I could use this in a different way, but because I'm writing user API Albert here, this should all type check correctly. And it seems to anyway. Yeah, it seems to work. We can just test it real quick, but it seems fine. That's kind of cool actually, because it would be nice to have more generic combinators when you're making stuff like this. Otherwise it's gonna get kind of boring pretty quick. Yeah, seems to work. Albert, cool. Do. Okay, so from combinators to handler, fine. We can write trivial web services easily, but none of the two above use any fancy combinator from servant. Let's address this and use query param, capture, and request body right away. You'll see how each occurrence of these combinators in an endpoint makes a corresponding handler receive an argument of the appropriate type automatically. I'm gonna have a terrible headache after this. You don't have to worry about manually looking up URL captures or query string parameters or decoding, encoding data from to JSON. Never. I have like focus problems, so having to like read a lot of text really gives me a headache. That's what the glasses are for, actually. Literally just that. I can see totally fine without them, but I just get headaches faster. Okay, so we're going to use the following data types and functions to implement a server for API. All right, so let's make a new file, and we'll just call it API, I guess, because they're calling it API. And then we probably need all the things that we have in here. One thing I forgot to do. Okay. I actually don't know if we need all of this. Did we even use these combinators? What are these for? Maybe we use them now? I don't even know. I thought it was a little weird that we didn't use them. Okay, type API. Every time. Position. Capture. It says int, but I'm going to use integer because I like using integer where I can. Then we're going to capture, if I could spell, y as an integer, and we are going to get JSON back for a position. So this is our first one. We'll add the next ones afterwards, but let's write the data type for this. Data position x chord I don't think there's any reason to we're probably going to end up using a this needs apparently we're not using it for anything else but writing JSON, so that's fine. To JSON position. Okay, so this should all compile. Great. And then now we're adding some alternates. Hello? What are we doing? Oh, we're gonna say hello to somebody apparently. Query param. name gonna be a string. Get JSON. Yeah, this tutorial is pretty long actually. I suppose it's good because, you know, we would like to be able to, you know, I'd like to actually be able to use this when we're done with it. I'm feeling more confident about it already, I think. I wasn't feeling very confident about this. I looked at this before, but it was, well, it's not compiling right now. Probably just need to restart the GHC. I think it's pretty good though. What do you think, Lumi? I feel like we've gone through quite a bit of stuff. And at least seen sort of we've seen all the tools that we're going to need to build what I need to build anyway. Okay, so new type. I feel like we haven't written a new type in a while. Yeah, like the design of the library is very complicated, right? But when we're writing this kind of code, it's very simple. I've sort of accepted this style, especially on stream, because otherwise the lines get a little long. Oh, except I'm missing. There you go. We doing okay now? Something appears broken. Let me just run a... Oh, there we go. I didn't see it up there. There we go. Okay, that's fixed. Yeah, I agree with that. I actually kind of like this tutorial quite a bit. You know what we should do, now that I'm thinking about it, is go through like the Scotty, we should do like a review of the tutorials for each of the web servers that you can use. That could be kind of useful, maybe. Okay, so that's that one. Marketing. Request body in JSON. Oh my goodness, I can't type right now. Client info post email. Okay. So we need data, client info, client name. And I can see we're losing quite a few viewers due to the boring of me just writing this, but it's the only way we're gonna learn. Why do we need client for all of these? Can we just write name, email, age? Seems like we don't need to write all of these with client. Oh, right. I always forget that. I actually had I think one time we had a collision like that, and it was a little confusing at first. So you're sort of scoping. I know it's not. That's probably not the right term. You're scoping the data constructor. No, that's the data constructor. This is like a record accessor. Right, I don't have an email yet. Okay, so because, let's see here, because this is a post and it requires a request body, we need a from JSON as well. Is that the idea? Because we need to be able to marshal a request body that contains a client that contains client info. I think that's the idea. Email. I'm actually enjoying this tutorial quite a bit. We find other tutorials like this, like the lens tutorial. If it's like this one, I'll be very happy. We're almost done with boilerplate, I think. I guess this isn't really boilerplate, right? I'm just typing someone else's tutorial. Okay, so that should get us to type check all the way up here, right? So this is describing the following API. Still got C in my head apparently. So we have a get for X, Y. I think it's like this. No, I'm almost position X, Y, like this, I think. Where we have a get for hello name. Nope. Name equals string. I'm not sure. I'll write it like this. That's pretty readable. By the way, technically there is a language duplicate record fields, but I think I have not looked at that one yet. I suppose that would be useful. How does it must just use the types to help it figure out what's what? Like it knows that you're looking at a client record, therefore you would never need, if we had name in both of these, then it would know that this client info means this name. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That would be useful actually. I'm gonna write that down. So I still have a few. So the other one I have written down here is multi-way if, which I think you also showed me. So we got some extensions to look up. So multi-way if and duplicate record fields. I like the idea of duplicate record fields because this is a lot of typing, with all these clients, but duplicate record fields. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense as well. I actually read that originally wrong, that you would just need to provide type signatures, but it's really only if it's ambiguous. I tend to write type signatures all the time. Okay. So now that we have this, apparently we need to write a function. Ugh. This jerk down the street likes to race his car behind my house, and he does it just long enough that, like, the cops won't show up. It's very obnoxious. Like, even if I called the police right now and said, look, there's this guy racing a race car behind my house, could you please come tell him to stop doing that forever? It's really annoying. It scares my cats as well. I don't appreciate it one bit, if that's not clear. Hi. Can you hear it? It's pretty loud. Right now it's backfiring. Oh my god, I'm not writing all of this. Okay, that's good that you can't hear it, but it really pisses me off. Let's just write this because, like, this is just junk. It doesn't actually matter. Okay, so now we have to write our handler. So we can just call it server here because we are putting it in a separate file. I think I called it API, didn't I? Nope, I made it all caps. Gosh. Sorry, I'm trying not to start swearing really loudly. Yeah, that's the only place I write it, so I prefer it to be like that. All right, so server. What is a position? Why can I write lowercase position? Is it because I'm using data kinds? No, that wouldn't make sense. Oh, geez, I'm an idiot. Some days, I'm very special. Oh. Integer. Handler. Can't I just write this? Nope. I don't know how to write that point free offhand. Seems like I should just be able to write a dot in between them and then leave off X and Y. Can I do it if I just do this? Yes. So how do I get rid of this X? I'm not sure. Why would it matter? I don't understand. I'm missing something, but I don't know what it is offhand. Dot's not quite right here. Oh well, I'm not gonna dwell on this too much. Okay. Oh. M name. Oh, maybe name. Hello, anonymous coward. I just noticed that. Okay. Marketing. Neat. Did you see that? The types for your handlers changed to be just what we needed. In particular, capture something becomes an argument of type A for position. Yeah, right. So these. I assume that we can't actually give it like position with two strings. That would just say like doesn't exist or something. Okay, so we have a server and we just need to make an app, right? Or we need to make a proxy for this server and an application. So our what's the term that we're using here? Why don't we just call it proxy? Not sure why. And then we need an app, which is going to be application. Yep. App serve API proxy with server. Okay. And then the only thing we have to do is say import qualified server and import qualified API. And then that way we can write like server dot. But in this case, we don't want this. We want run 8081 API.app as such. Okay. Nice. So now let's play around. Does it build? Yes. Let's run it. Just noticed a few people popped in. So, oh wow, I just realized that book thing is on the timer. We aren't actually working on that book right now. We're working on the servant tutorial. So you're gonna see here in a second. I'm running a server on my machine. That's why this is not like saying anything. And we're gonna curl from our computer some different endpoints and experiment. So we basically built the endpoints using servant and this syntax right here. So let me separate these a little bit and they'll be a little easier to see. So we have a position endpoint that accepts an x and a y as integers, and then it returns that position via a JSON response. So we should be able to write like this, and we get an x and y coordinate of 2, 2. However, this I don't know what's going to happen, but if we like put a string in here, it's going to do nothing. I assumed it was going to fail. Not fail, but say something else. So if this doesn't exist, apparently it just kind of doesn't do anything. That's a little weird. I'd keep the actual spec in a different module than the server implementation. Oh. So this stuff would go somewhere else? I guess that includes this email for client function. I would only keep my types in here. That's interesting. Let me turn off that thing real quick. Hang on. Oh, I just need to timer. That's closed. That's kind of weird to me that it doesn't do anything. With bad request. There it is. Thank you for that. I don't know what any of that means. Okay, cool. So we get a bad request, and then I suppose when we do 1, 2, we get a 200 response. Yeah, 200, okay. Neat. Wonderful. Okay, so that was our first one. And then our second one is basically like a hello thing, like a more or less just like a ping. Hello. Get rid of this for now. Lumi. What? Oh, right. Question mark name equals. There we go. Got it. Okay. Because it's a query param. It's not just it's not a single parameter. So you have to actually. Oh my goodness. You actually have to put the query parameter in there, otherwise it's not going to work. So neat. Anyone else want me to say hi to them? But we were getting a 200 before. It would be. I wonder. Is there a I wonder if there's a way to just show the code, like the return code, instead of like with the V. Okay, what is this under? There we go. -w code, HTTP code. that did not work as expected. Oh, is underscore. I wrote underscore. Oh, like this, I guess. So that's not how it was. The dollar sign, wasn't it? The heck? And now it's all messed up. It's a percent sign. Like so? There we go. Okay. That's a little, maybe that's more useful. What if we do this? And then it's really what we want. Okay. That's a little easier to see now. So if we just put Lumi's name in here, you'll get a 404. Doesn't exist. And if you do, I guess if you do name equals, well, it might just interpret 123 as a string. Yeah, it does. Okay. So I don't know how you guard against this problem. You might have to write like a little extra logic to make sure that you can't convert this to an integer or something weird. But anyway, I just wanted to see the return code. So this one works, this one doesn't work because this path doesn't exist on the server. So that's why you get a 404. Before, what do we get with the other one? Actually, it's position. That gets you a 400. So it thinks the path exists, but doesn't parse correctly because these need to be integers, I guess. So, right, if I remember correctly, 404 does not exist at all. And this is like a bad request. Yeah. We could just force it to be an actual string and not an integer. There might be something in like parsec where you can adjust that, or I'm sorry, in servant where you can adjust that. Anyway, not that important. The other one we have to do is this post request. Okay, so we need to do this. I've not done this before. Okay, so what are we doing? We are doing a post instead of a get, and I think get is the default one. And then we're giving it data. I think that's what D stands for. And we're giving it JSON. So this is apparently some client named Alp Mastano Galeri. Is that a real person? They're 25 years old and they're interested in yes, it's a real person. It's probably the author of Servant, I would guess. They're interested in Haskell and mathematics. And I don't know what H stands for in this yet, but we'll look. We're accepting application JSON sends custom headers. Okay. So is this is the one that says, look, the data I'm giving you is JSON? And is this one saying, and I'll take back JSON? Is that what that means? Oh, sorry. My bad. There we go. Maybe that's not. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, so we got two of these two here, which, yes, now you can see them. Sorry about that. So I'm guessing that this one on the right means that I'm giving you data in JSON format. Okay, good. Then I'm thinking about that correctly. I'm not super familiar with this. SAPS is a list of MIME types the HTTP client will accept normally. It's application JSON, then other stuff. Okay, thanks, lab notes. Also, hello. I've not seen you around before. Glad you're here. Are you interested in Haskell, or just sort of browsing for the day, doing some Twitch browsing? Okay, sorry, this is kind of hard to read, but there it is. There's the response body. Is that the way we say that? Okay, neat. Yeah, good. It's been pretty fun so far. It's definitely a really long tutorial. So, you know, if you want to do it yourself, be in for a few hours if you're stupid like me. By the way, I hope it's clear that I'm saying that jokingly. I don't actually think that I'm stupid, but I know there's a lot for me to learn. Just want to make sure that's clear. Okay, so here's a list of combinators from servant, delete, get, patch, post, put. These do not become arguments. They provide the return type of handlers, which is something which usually is handler something. Capture something A becomes an argument of type A. Query param something A, header something A, all become arguments of type maybe A, because there might be no value at all specified from the client by the client for these. So if I do this, hang on. What do I need hello. No, I need what do I need? Yeah, hello slash name equals and then nothing. And that should give me the hello anonymous thing. Wait, doesn't. What if I just get rid of this? I see. Okay, so if I put this in here, I get blank, which I see is another problem, I suppose. But if you just get rid of the query parameter, then it gets that as a nothing, and therefore gives you hello anonymous coward. That's useful. Okay. It seems like there's a few things that we would probably want to protect against if we were really writing like an actual API. One of which is that when you give it a name, it's not blank. And I suppose you could probably write a checker like this one and just replace that with the hello, right? You could just replace that here. So if you could adjust n, run this thing to deal with that, something like that. There may be a different way to do it, but oh, that's useful. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. Where is this? Up here. So query param required. We gotta figure out where that's from. Hang on. So let's go on to Google. Apparently it's directly in the servant API. type level, how do we use it? Do I just stick it in like a required? Well, that's not very helpful. Oh, I see. Very confused. How do we use it? That's the part I don't understand. Is that the one that makes it required? Oh, I see. So I see what you're saying. There it is. I see. So query param itself is a tick with optional and strict. So here we would need query param tick of required oh, there you go. Yep, you caught it. I caught it right before you text or wrote it down. Yeah. I feel good when I do stuff like that. Okay, so then this simply breaks everything. Okay, because it's no longer a maybe string, it's a string. And then this just becomes oh, return. Oh. Also pass strict. We'll have to read what that does. Here. Nope. Oh, I see. Strictly parsed. Yeah. Strictly parsed argument. I mean, I can see that it's optional wherever that went. There. Well, this one's for header, but that's fine. So by default, it's saying it's always optional, and that's how you get the maybe from it. But I'm not sure what strict means specifically in this case. Okay, I see. So strict means fail to parse, but lenient means don't fail to parsing, instead give me a left, I suppose. I guess that's the difference. We would have to mess around with that, but that's kind of interesting. Okay, so now the difference between these two things is that now if I run hello, I should get a what? A 400 or a 404? Probably a 400. Yes. Query. Oh, that's useful. It even says something this time. This must come from. This comes from servant itself, I would guess. It's not just like a random thing. Neat. Okay. I don't know that that is more useful in this case, but seems fine to me. It's kind of useful just messing around with this sometimes. So actually, let's ah. Okay. I like to try and keep the original code in here. That way. Technically this was underneath down there, so we'll do it this way. Okay, so cool. We made our first little API that does some combinations. So I wonder again if this would look nicer if position, hello, and marketing were actually separated, and then you have and then you just have the type API be like position alternate hello alternate marketing instead of have this longer. So this is a post on marketing. How do I write this one? Okay, you'd write them separately, and then have like the one API type at the end. Is it just post marketing? I don't really know how to write this. How would you write this here? Maybe like, because it's not a slash. Yeah. I don't know. Let's write it like this. I'm not really sure how to write this way. Maybe it was mentioned before. I feel like it was mentioned, but I just don't remember what it looked like ultimately. That's okay. Not that important. We'll write it like this for now. Okay. From HTTP API data to HTTP API data. Wait, how does servant know how to decode the ints from the URL? I think that's we're going to learn about how to deal with empty and these sorts of things now. How to decode client info value from the request body. Well, this one I know. This one's just because we have ASIN. This is what this and the following two sections address. So captures and query parameters are represented by some textual value in URLs. Headers are similarly represented by a pair of a header name and corresponding textual value in the request metadata. How types are encoded from headers, captures, and query params is expressed in a class from HTTP API data. Okay, so we have a class, a type class from HTTP API data where we need to either parse a URL piece. I assume that this is built on top of Parsec, I guess, or parse query parameter. What do parse URL piece decode UTF-8? Okay, interesting. So I assume that you can write your custom HTTP API data type classes. Not quite sure how we do that yet, but we'll get there. As you can see, as long as you provide either parse URL piece for captures or parse query param for query params, is that not this? Oh, I thought that was exactly this, but okay. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out, right? Yeah. Here we go. HTTP API data provides a decent number of instances, helpers for defining new ones, and wonderful documentation. We like wonderful documentation. There's not much else to say about these classes. You'll need instances for them when using capture, query params, and header with your types. You will need from HTTP API data instances for server-side request handlers and 2 HTTP API data instances only when using servant client, as described in the section about deriving Haskell functions to query an API. Okay. Using content types with your data types. The same principle was operating when decoding request bodies from JSON and responses into JSON. That's that from and to JSON stuff that we wrote before. JSON is just a running example. You can do this with any content type. This section introduces a couple of type classes provided by servant that make all of this work. Ow. I've been sitting in this chair a little long. I said I would stream till 2. We'll try and do it. I'm a little sleepy though. Ow. Hang on. I need to check my text messages here. I got 8 all of a sudden. Birthday. That's funny. Darlani, if you're still watching, hello. She didn't make a account because it would contain lipids in it, and we'd have a new follower. She was just watching. My girlfriend's in. She's not here right now. She's away, but she was watching. And she can't type anything unless she makes an account, and she probably won't make an account. Anyway. So the truth behind JSON. What exactly is JSON? That's cool. Okay, so this is what we sort of were talking about this before, but we didn't skip over it, I guess, but we saw a little bit of it and didn't talk about the other. Like the 3 other content types provided out of the box by servant, it's a really dumb data type. Yep, 3 things. Obviously, this is not all there is to JSON, otherwise it would be quite pointless. Like most of the data types in servant, JSON is mostly there as a special symbol that's associated with an encoding, decoding, respectively decoding to respectively from the JSON format. The way this association is performed can be decomposed into 2 steps. The first step is to provide a proper media type from HTTP media representation for JSON or for your own content type. If you look at the haddocks from this link, you can see that we just have to specify application JSON. We did this before using the appropriate functions. In our case, we can just use, here's that / thing. Okay, in our case, we can just use this function, infix operator means a function. The precise way to specify the media type is to write an instance for the accept class. For reference, accept C type where content type is a proxy content type to media type. Instance accept JSON where content type of anything is application JSON. Okay, so these things are byte strings to generate media types. We would need overloaded strings for this. Oh yeah, this is what was it? Lab notes was talking about before, I think. Second step is centered around the, you say mime? I assume you say mime render, mime unrender classes. These classes just let you specify a way to encode and decode values into or from your content type's representation. Okay, so this is like an encoding to byte string and a decoding from byte string. Okay, given a content type and some user type, mime render provides a function that codes values of type A to lazy byte string. In the case of JSON, this is easily dealt with. For any type A with a to_JSON instance, we can render values of that type JSON using encode from A to ASIN. And now the mime unrender class, which lets us extract values from lazy byte strings, alternatively failing with an error string. Okay. We don't have much work to do there either. Data ASIN either decode is precisely what we need. However, it only allows arrays and objects as top-level JSON values, and this is proven to get in our way more than help us. So we wrote our own little function around ASIN and autoparsec that allows any type of JSON value at the top level of a JSON document. Here's a definition in case you're curious. Why do we have formatting in some cases and not others? Is this because this is a... I mean, this looks like normal Haskell to me. I don't understand why it's missing formatting. Anyway, either decode lenient from JSON byte string to either string A, do v parse only I mean, this looks like autoparsec to me. Right? This gets you, parse only gets you the optional. CS. I don't know what CS is either. Anyway, so this is some combinations of ASIN parser and this function does CS. Here. I suppose we could look it up, but anyway. Okay, so this gives us a way to decode JSON from request bodies. Yep. So, and this is all code that lets you use JSON with request body, get, and post and friends. We can check our understanding by implementing support for an HTML content type so that users of your web service can access an HTML representation of the data they want, ready to be included in any HTML document, for example, using jQuery's load function, simply by adding accept text HTML to their request header. Okay. Case studies. Servant Blaze and Servant Lucid. These days, most of the Haskellers who write their HTML UIs directly from Haskell use either Blaze, HTML, or Lucid. The best option for Servant is obviously to support both and hopefully other templating solutions. We're going to do templating now. That's probably pretty useful. So I guess we're doing front-end stuff. So it was Zorgadon who was talking about, or we were all talking about like front-end versus back-end stuff. Okay, so maybe I should just make this big now. We haven't really written any code in a little bit. Yeah, let's just do that. we can always put it back if we need to. Okay, so Lucid. Okay, so we got a data type, and then we need to have an accept HTML Lucid. So this is the content type. Okay. So this only accepts HTML in the character set of UTF-8, I guess, is what that means. And it's going to be HTML. Okay. The rendering instances call similar functions that take types with an appropriate instance to an abstract HTML representation and then write that to a byte string. Okay, so I guess render byte string to HTML. So mime render is the encoding function. So we're gonna get an A that has a toHTML instance, and we're going to take that A, make it HTML, and then render it to a byte string. And then in this case, we're going to decode. Wait, what is this one? Oh, I see. Okay, so apparently Lucid has another HTML wrapper, so you don't need to HTML it. Okay. So this looks exactly the same for Blaze. And then there's just an equivalent to HTML function and interesting. So this to HTML looks like it makes markup. I don't know. Well, it's a to markup instance. Anyway, this gets you, I guess, HTML, and then this gets you a byte string that's equivalent to HTML. Or, sorry, the byte string of the HTML string, something like that. Okay, so both of these things let you use HTML Lucid and HTML Blaze in any content type list, as long as you provide an instance of the appropriate class to markup for Blaze HTML or to HTML for Lucid. We can now write a web service that allows servant Lucid to show the HTML Lucid content type in action. Okay, so let's make something, because it's better to make something. So if I nice. Okay. So let's do something here. Lucid and then we need basically most of this stuff, probably all of it, more or less, and then we'll get rid of this. Okay, so we're gonna have a person API, persons get JSON HTML. This should fail, but it's not. I should copy and paste this stuff in, right? Oh, I know why it's failing. Oh. I thought that I probably just need to import something from here. Lucid servant. Okay, so we need to go into package YAML and include servant Lucid, I assume. And then we need to find probably this. Okay. Build this thing. We just need to get Lucid, that's all. Okay. For some reason we don't have this. Hmm. I'm confused. Am I supposed to just use the one we wrote up here? Hey, Benjamin Franklin. How's it going? Oh, okay. So I should be able to just write this, I guess. But first I need to deal with this, and it looks like it's actually in here. So, oh, and it's capital HTML, yes. And it's servant HTML Lucid. Servant HTML Lucid. There it goes. Nice. Okay. Got it. I'm doing well. We've been streaming for about 3.5 hours. And I think so. Something like that. Yep, almost 3.5 hours. Working on the servant tutorial. Turns out to be quite long and relatively complicated. It hasn't been terribly hard though, which is good because we don't want it to be terribly hard anyway. Right now, I guess we're gonna be rendering Lucid. I'm not really sure what we're doing. We're using Lucid templates to generate HTML. Is that what we're doing? I think that's what we're doing. We're gonna see. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what's going on here. Yeah, this already looks like what we need. So instance to HTML. Yeah, it's actually been pretty fun. We're getting to mess with a lot of servant. I think we have all the tools we need to start the project we were discussing. Almost, maybe all of them. And we're learning how to do some HTML rendering, which is really useful because we've not done that yet. And these look really neat because they're just kind of like combinators for HTML. So you can write, you know, Haskell level templates instead of writing templates in some other pseudo language, which I've never liked doing anyway. But it seems like this particular one is very interested in this Lucid one, although maybe we're going to compare and contrast Lucid and Blaze every time. So TR is a, what's TR? Table? The real benefit of those is they're just data, so you can technically post-process them without going back and forth to a text representation. What are we post-processing? Real benefit of those. What is those? Oh, I see. Okay. The real benefit of Lucid templates is they're just data. Yeah, I think I understand. Yeah, I think so too. So, table row and table delimiter or something? I don't know what these underscores are for, but that's okay. Ah. Name collisions with what, though? Is it just so you can use the like short TRTD in other places? Maybe there's like a specific thing that we're worried about collisions with. Often trailing underscores means it returns M unit instead of MA. Okay. Okay, so the return type of, yeah, I've not seen this before. Wait. Table do, tr do, th. We can look at the return type. It should be obvious, right? This is aligned with the tr. Fold map to HTML persons. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is a monad transformer of some monad with unit. Weirdly enough, though, some of the combinators of a type that's not. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Not necessarily these ones, but there are combinators that have that. Yeah, these ones in particular are all like Benjamin Franklin Scout says. I feel like I can't shorten your name, right? Like I call Lumi Lumi, but I feel like I can't say, I don't know, anything else. I want to say your whole name every time. It's hilarious to me. Okay. There we go. So now we need to make some people. This guy is definitely a fan of math. New Tom. That's a person, right? Equals proxy. And then server. All right. So now we should be able to go to this website and actually see tables, right? But I gotta actually serve it first. Okay. So let's try that. Move on. There we go. And then we should just be able to go to accept there you go. Very cool. I like this a lot. I like this quite a bit. This is very neat. All right. Okay, what's next? Handler monad. We're still not super great at monads, so maybe we'll get some help here. Except I have to use the bathroom again. So I will be right back, and I want to refill my water. So give me 2 minutes, and then we'll discuss the handler monad. Are we even done after we hit the bottom of this? Goodness. Conclusion. I see. So there's some stuff about being a client with servant and servant JS. This is going to be useful because we might want to use this for our client side piece of this code, or the project we're thinking about. But we're not going to discuss the project today very clearly because we're not going to get there. Here it is. Okay. This is a long tutorial. I'm happy that we're doing it though. Okay, I'll be right back, and we'll probably stream for another half hour, and then I'm gonna get off, and we'll be back on at 7:30. So give me 2 minutes. All right, thanks for chilling for just a second there. I need some more water. All right. So at the heart of the handlers is the monad they run in, namely a new type handler around how do I pronounce that one? Lars? I don't know if it's 2 words. Lars Livren? How do I pronounce that? Anyway, we achieved yet another follower. I'm going to call you Lars for now. Hello, my name's Barry. I work on Haskell. What do you like to work on? I like to hear from everyone. Actually, probably what you work on is more interesting than what I work on. So, but right now what we're doing is going through this servant tutorial, and I don't know. We're not going to be able to finish it today. Although maybe we do it tonight. Maybe we'll have a vote at the end and figure out what we work on tonight. Okay. New type handler around accept server. I'm guessing that's error, not error. IO. You might wonder why this monad. The answer is that it's the simplest monad with the following properties. What's the matter, kitty? This kitty really wants to hang out. It lets us both return a successful result using return or fail with a descriptive error using throw error. It lets us perform I/O, which is absolutely vital since most web services exist as interfaces to databases that we interact with in I/O. That makes sense. Okay. Let's recall some definitions. I've not used the MTL a lot. We discussed what it meant before, and I actually already forgot what it means. I was gonna guess. I think what I guessed is monad transformer library, but I don't think that that's actually correct. It's just monad classes using functional dependencies. But yeah, everywhere. How does he have time to do anything? Anyway, okay. In short, this means, oh, let's recall some definitions. Either EA inside of another monad, right? It's got to be a transform. So, okay. In short, this means that a handler of type handler A is simply equivalent to a computation of type IO either server error A. That is, an IO action that either returns an error or a result. I suppose this could be worth putting a pull request in, huh? People usually appreciate when you correct their documentation. Yeah, that's what I thought. So the module control monad accept from which accept t comes is worth looking at. Perhaps most importantly, accept t and handler are an instance of monad error. So throw error can be used to return an error from your handler, whereas return is enough to return a success. Most of what you'll be doing in your handlers is running some IO. We're going to have to do that. That's correct. And depending on the result, you might sometimes want to throw an error of some kind and abort early. The next two sections cover how to do that. Okay, performing IO. Another important instance from the list above is, why is this plural? Okay, anyway, our monad IO and therefore also monad IO handler, as there is monad IO instance. Monad IO is a class from the transformers packages defined as, oh, this is how you like you lift any IO action into your current monad context or something. I remember we looked at examples when we were doing Haskell programming from first principles, where you basically just had like a bunch of lift IOs and then your monad. I don't remember what we were doing. I'd have to go look again. But anyway. So if you want to run any kind of IO computation in your handlers, just use lift IO. Okay, so we're getting some file contents. All right, so this is an example where we read a file that's in IO, we lift it into our handler monad, and then return it. Okay, I can deal with this. Failing through server error. You want to explicitly fail at providing the result promised by an endpoint using the appropriate HTTP status code not found, unauthorized, etc. And some error message. All you have to do is use the throw error function mentioned above and provide it with the appropriate value of a type server error, which is defined as, we can give it an HTTP code, a reason phrase, a body, and some headers. Okay. Many standard values are provided out of the box by the servant server module. If you want to use these values but add a body or some headers, just use the record update syntax. failing handler, throw, my error, where. Here's an example where we return a customized 404 not found error message in the response body if my file isn't there. Okay. Does file exist? If exists, read it and return it. Else, throw a custom 404 where it says Okay, so this must be a. Do we have to write this ourselves, or does this come for us? That must come for us. And we just update it with, please leave this server alone. That's an interesting message. There's the -v flag. Okay, so we try and read this thing, but it's not there, and then it gives you an error. Then you put something in it, do the same thing, and then you can get the content. Okay, neat. Yeah. It has to be, right? I mean, like, this has to be an error to find somewhere. Okay, response headers. To add headers to your response, use add header. Note that this changes the type of your API, as we can see in the following example. Header X and int. Okay, note that the type of add header X is different than the type of X. Add header X. Isn't this always the case? In nearly every function we've ever used? Anyway. Okay, so you like progressively add headers to it as you need to? But what if your handler only sometimes adds a header? If you declare that your handler adds headers and you don't add one, the return type of your handler will be different than expected. To solve this, you have to explicitly not add a header by using no header. Okay. That's sort of interesting. I've not used, again, we've not done a lot of web stuff. I've mentioned that multiple times. But I don't know what these headers are for. I don't know why you need them yet. I'm sure that at some point we'll get to a point where we learn why. Let's make this big again because we haven't written any of this code. We're just going to use it as an example later. Okay, so serving static files. Servant server also provides a way to just serve the content of a directory under some path in your web API. As mentioned earlier in this document, the raw. Okay. Hey, what are you doing? Headers are often used to pass metadata, e.g. to a proxy server. At other times to pass authentication info. Oh, that's right. I mean, I know that part, but isn't this part adding the headers as a response? Okay, so I'm trying to imagine a situation. So what if we authenticate a user and then forward their traffic somewhere else with a header attached to it? Could we do something like that? Is that kind of, could I think of it like that? maybe forward's not the right term, but I understand the like, if I wanted to do authentication, I would add a header and then pass that as a post. But I don't see why I need that back. That's the part I'm having a hard time sort of like visualizing, for lack of a better term. Okay. Someone feels very strongly about authentication. For returns or cache control. This kitty is literally attacking my feet right now. It's very, very annoying. Okay. Which advises a proxy to cache the resource and for how long. Oh, yeah, yeah. Come here, bud. Yeah. There's a kitty. Yeah. Yeah. I love critters. This is Andre 3000. We've had him for about a year. He's kind of he's getting antsy right now. Like, he really wants to hang out. He's just super cute. I love this cat so much, but he's very mischievous. He's bitten lots and lots of cables. We had to buy. We bought this stuff called what is it called? I don't remember what it is, but basically it just tastes really bitter. So you can spray all your cables with this really bitter tasting thing, and then they stop biting them. But yeah, he's really mischievous, but he's also super cute, which is nice. Okay, so we gotta read Lumi's stuff here as well. So returns are cache control, which advises a proxy to cache the resource and for how long. Another common are E tags, which represent a hash of the resource data, so a client can check if the resource has changed without reloading it. Interesting. So you would only reload it if it changed, something like that. Man, the web is a wild place. Okay. Location for redirecting a client. Oh, like if you were to say, oh, you're in Canada, go to the Canada site. Something like this. I don't really know the use cases for this. I really need to do some web programming so that I understand what you're going for. I think I understand some of these. The ones I'm having a hard time. Yeah. The one I don't know a lot about is the proxy to cache the resource and for how long. I think the redirecting a client one seems to make sense to me, and the e-tags one seems to make a little sense to me. But we're gonna practice with this stuff for sure. Okay, let's read this one. I'd really like to finish this, but I don't think we're going to. We're gonna have to. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So that one. Yeah. Lots of different ways to use these headers. Cool. I'd like to do something with WebSockets because I don't really know what WebSockets are, but I know that they're used in lots of interesting places. Click jacking protection to tell a browser to not load it in an iframe. Man. It seems to me like you've done a plenty of web programming, Lumi. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like going deep. That's kind of my thing. Professionally for 5 years. Okay. Someday. I would like to be able to say things like that. As mentioned earlier in this document, the raw combinator can be used in your APIs to mean plug here any way application, WAI application. Serve server provides a function to get a file and directory serving way application, namely. Oh, that's fair. Serve directory web app, file path to server raw. Serve directory web app's argument must be a path to a valid directory. Here's an example API that will serve some static files. Oh, this means like static file / that's a directory name. Which any request whose path starts on with static and will look for a file at the path described by the rest of the request path inside the static files directory of the path you run the program from. In other words, if a client clicks, where did I get clicks? Requests static foo.txt, the server will look for a file at static files foo.txt. If the file exists, it will succeed and serve the file. If it doesn't exist, the handler will fail with 404 status code. Serve directory web app uses some standard settings that fit the use case of serving static files for most web apps. Find out about the other options in the documentation of module. Serving util static file. Okay, so I don't see any use case. I mean, I know why people do this for general web case, but I don't see why I would need this for the project that we were discussing before. Because it's almost time for me to finish, I think we're going to stop at nested APIs. And